The thing about recovery that's really interesting is that a lot of people think, for instance, with addiction and alcoholism, that once you stop, you've recovered. It's a done deal. Well, it's only just begun. At least in my case, I found that I really didn't know how to live. And stopping was one thing, and learning to live and recover was another. And there's no diploma that comes in the mail. It's not a merit badge, and you don't graduate. And I used to think that. I used to think, I'm blessed now. This is magic, and it's a done deal. I can go on with my life. But no, you have to live a different kind of life and maintain a different type of attitude and relationship to people and yourself. And what's also interesting is that we're changing the linguistics of the dialogue a little bit about addiction. A year ago or two, I would have said, my name's Jim, I'm an alcoholic, etc. And now I've come to use the phrase, I'm Jim and I'm in long-term recovery, and what that means is I haven't had a drink in 17 years. It doesn't sound like much of a difference, but if you listen to it, it's different. It's addressing the positive. There are 2.5 million people a year lose their life due to alcohol, worldwide. 2.5 million. In the United States, it's 88,000 a year, somewhere in there. Those are all alcohol-related accidents, diseases, the whole spectrum of issues. That's a lot of people. I don't think 88,000 people raised their hands and said, I really want to have a problem and go out and do this. So there's something afoot. The greatest misunderstanding about recovery is a really interesting question because it comes from two sides, from the addicted person and from the others out there watching it. For the addicted person, it's really interesting because what happened to me was, as I mentioned before, I'm special now because I'm recovering, and that's all ego drive and whatnot. A good friend of mine came up to me in Oregon, my first year of recovery, and I was pink clouding. It's what they call pink clouding. It's like, wow, everything's designed just for me, this recovery, and etc. He tapped me on the shoulder and he said, the best you can wish to get out of this deal is to be a functioning human being. And I went, well, that's kind of a bummer. Wow, big deal. I went home and I realized, oh my God, I've never been a functioning human being in my life. That is pretty cool. And so there is a misconception about how things work in life in recovery. And you don't really know until you do it, but it's exciting and daunting and painful and all the things that you have to go through, like everybody else. It just brings you up to an even keel with everybody else, so let's experience life together. From the outside looking in at people that are recovering, the issue is, well, now that you've stopped doing whatever you were doing, how come you're not doing this? Well, they're recovering. They don't know how to do that. I mean, God, they didn't even know how to go to the laundromat, probably. I didn't. So there are a lot of kind of expectations placed on people who are, in recovery when their bell has just been rung. It's like being KO'd, and they're looking at life completely anew and trying to reformulate how to live and behave and to feel like they fit into society. And 12-step programs are great for that. They're socializing, you have a peer group, you have backup friends that you can call, and it gives you a way back into life. The 12-step programs are from the people that I know, are a life-saving way of life. None of these work for everybody. Some there are failures in every domain of therapy and treatment. I can't speak to the traditions and heritages of 12-step programs. There's one element and that would be spirituality, I think, that's kind of interesting. I've heard addiction called a spiritual disease before, and I kind of put that aside for a while, but it is interesting because you are trying to fill something with a drug or a substance, and I think once you learn that that hole is never filled, then you have to, consider other ways. And it's also about humility. You're not running the universe. I thought I was in control of my life. Wrong. And I'm still not. But at least I know now. I surrendered to that notion. And but I think that the 12-step programs also remind a person on a daily basis that they have to be vigilant and work their program and keep an eye out for where are the hot buttons. It could be anything. Some people can't go into bars, other people don't have a problem with it. So I think it keeps the awareness alive. Where when you feel really, really good, you have to decide how much of that is ego too. And I'm very careful about saying I'm feeling really great. Maybe I've healed. That's the next step. And I can't ever go there because you heal, but you don't heal to go back out and try it again in a different way. For me, anyway, it doesn't work that way. However, I've had there was a great American poet named Robinson Jeffers, and he said, "Joy is a whim in the air," and every once in a while, there is that moment when you go, this is pretty great.